Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fancast Fridays. The weekend's here. It's Wolves versus Man United this weekend. Tonight, I've got with me Gully. I've got with me Luke, because Gully couldn't be bothered to turn up because he's too busy on Twitter getting into spats over Messi playing in the sixth best league in the world, which is 2 divisions above the Wolverhampton Sunday League. How are you doing, Luke?
I'm good. It's been a good day. Do you know what? I'm quite disappointed Good isn't on here today because I've enjoyed winding him up for the majority of the day. It's been good.
He can't help himself, can he? He just
bites all the time.
He can't accept that Cristiano's better than Messi, but I'm sure that everyone in the comment section will have their own opinions on that. Let's quickly touch on the Forest game the other night, Luke. What was your thoughts on that? You know, the old saying about Buzzies coming in twos, well, they came in fours the other night. What was your thoughts on the result?
Fantastic result. I mean, look how many times over the seasons we've had a cup draw like that and we've come away losing 1-0. Or exactly. I mean, that was a struggle. Stoke as well last season. Over the years, we've had some horrendous exits in the cup, and I know Forest ain't doing great in the Championship. They're really struggling, but still, to go and put 4 past somebody, it's a really good confidence builder. Off, you know, it looked like we built on the performance against Spurs at home. I think Silva getting 2 assists boosts his confidence. Podence getting on the score sheet boosts his confidence. Trincao opening his account with Wolves builds his confidence, and Gibbs White scoring a really good goal as well. That's surely going to build his confidence as well. So I think from that point of view, excellent, good run out.
It was fantastic to see Morgan Gibbs White get that goal the other night. And to be fair, I said it on our Twitter page, summoned up the power of Adriano on Pro Evolution, the way he absolutely rocketed it past the keeper. Great to see Daniel Podence back from the highlights, and what I've been told, he looked sharp. He looked like he could easily be pushing for a starting place the weekend. Probably come a bit early fitness-wise, but yeah, it's great to see him back. I know we had the discussion last season about Pedro Neto versus Daniel Podence. You obviously won the bet against Gully. Unfortunately, well, they both was unfortunate with injuries, wasn't they? Podence and Neto, but obviously Podence struggled for the majority of the season. I'm just going to bring on our first guest of the evening. It's Scott Saunders from the Promised Land podcast, a part of the 90-Minute Network. Bring on Scott now. How you doing, Scott?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Just very well.
You just sound Ronaldo, mate.
What a day! I tell you what. We spoke earlier on, and this deal was not going to happen. Ronaldo was going to Manchester City, and things just changed at the drop of a hat, and now it's official. He's not actually signed yet, but the deal's agreed. So, yeah, I'm just absolutely exhausted. Today's been mad.
You know what?
Scott. Sorry, Luke. Me and Scott did a bit of a pre-record at lunchtime today, and I actually made a joke with Scott, which I think might have got rid of the picture now, but I asked where Man City were going to put the "Welcome Back to Manchester" billboard. So for him to that's how quickly it changed at lunchtime, wasn't it, Scott? I mean, you must be buzzing that he's back.
Oh, honestly, I was trying to convince myself that Ronaldo ended up joining City wasn't that bad a thing. I've seen a lot of fans upset that he would even consider the possibility of doing it. I tried to understand his reasoning for it because City are just ready-made to win trophies. I kind of understood that, but I was trying to distance myself from it a little bit. But there was just today, all around Ollie's press conference, where he kind of came out and said, "We're here for him if he wants to join us." He must have known something was going on. And the wave of the change in the mood in the United fan base from even this morning to now, it's just insane. I think the website crashed on the announcement. I'm just absolutely buzzing with it. They don't necessarily need him, but it's just the statement that it makes, you know. They do need a proper number 9 who can be there all the time and score goals. I think that's where he'll play the most. And what it'll do for the young players in there who've idolized him for years, Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes watched him in Portugal when he played for United growing up. It's just it's an incredible thing. So hopefully, he's not going to make it for the Wolves game. So it's a positive. But
I made a comment with you earlier, Scott. I think since Dennis Irwin pocketed him on his league debut for United back in 2003, it's probably ain't up for it. I think they could have pushed through this deal if you really wanted to, but I think he might be a bit afraid of Romain Saïs, the Moroccan male DNA. What's your thoughts on the return of Cristiano, Luke?
I just think it's hilarious how at 10 o'clock he was past it, according to Man U fans, and by 4 p.m. is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time again. So I just like to see the fickleness, if I'm being honest. It makes me laugh. But, I mean, I'll be honest, and no disrespect to Scott, I fucking hate Man United, I do. I can't stand them. And it only comes down to the amount of people from Wolverhampton that support Man United. So I can't stand them. But you've got to give credit where credit's due. And for me, Man United are serious title contenders now with the activity they've done in the transfer window. It propels them to another level.
It's ridiculous when you look at Man United's expenditure this month. Varane, Sancho, now Cristiano Ronaldo, and Arsenal have spent more than them.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. It just shows that, you haven't got to... All right, yeah, Man U have still spent a fair bit, but it's more about the intelligence of what you bring in more so than the money that you throw at it, I think, personally, anyway. But, I mean, Ronaldo back in the Premier League, it's amazing. I mean, my lad's gutted that he's not playing Sunday because as an 11-year-old lad, you want to see Cristiano Ronaldo in the flesh, don't you? Regardless of who he's playing. 34-year-old
lad.
Yeah, to be fair, mate. But, from a sort of adult, serious perspective, it's fantastic news for us that he's not registered in time to play.
What's your thoughts going into the game on Sunday, Scott? Do you think that the likes of sort of Varane, Sancho, what's the sort of latest on Cavani? Do you think he'll be featuring the weekend?
I'm not sure on Cavani. I think he's been back in. Been back in training. He didn't make the squad last week, so they were looking at this game to potentially bring him back. I think he'll have a week's training behind him, or possibly longer. So he may feature. I think you'd likely see Varane and Sancho actually start this game, because I think the Ronaldo. This is just on my mind. Why am I talking about Ronaldo? The Southampton game last week was it was quite underwhelming. Let's just say that. I think United were outplayed in patches, and there was a lot to be desired there. The midfield wasn't really connecting to the front that well. There were defensive errors and that kind of thing. And I think it was quite difficult last week to change a winning team that, beat Leeds 5-1 and played so well. It was probably difficult to make a change to the team that day, given Victor Lindelof had played quite well, and there's other players in there as well who perhaps didn't deserve to be taken out of the team. But I think Sancho came on and he looked sharp. Perhaps he didn't get the service he needed. And Rafa Varane, I think, is chomping at the bit now to get in the team. So it's a better, or it's an easier time for United to maybe make that change to bring Varane and Sancho in, and they'll be mainstays in the team for the duration of the season, I would think.
What's your thoughts on recent links to our Portuguese wonder boy, Ruben Neves?
So I like him. I think he's a really good player. I'm not entirely sure whether he is the type of midfielder that United need. I think there's a bit of a split in the fan base as to whether United need somebody who can connect the midfield to the front and pass the ball quite well, or I think there's a larger part of the United fan base that think they just need an out-and-out DM, which I don't think Ruben Neves is. So perhaps he's not the right person in that sense. But if they do end up sticking with the double pivot in midfield, McTominay and Fred, or McFred, is the one. They're the two that generally take the position. McTominay's injured, but there's been links all along. United haven't really wanted to pull the trigger on a midfield signing until they managed to get people out the door, and that was even before Ronaldo came in the picture. So I don't know how that will change things. There's a lot more expense now on the wage bill with Ronaldo coming in. Perhaps it'll be the case that United do still need to shift out other players, and it might make space for it if they can find a deal with Wolves. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit less likely today, although I think he might fancy joining United a little bit more with Ronaldo there.
Yeah.
I'm sure that might be a bit of a nice persuasion tactic for United to use should Ruben decide to leave Wolves in hopefully in the non-too near future. What's your sort of thoughts on Wolves' outgoings at the moment, Luke, in regards to Adama and Neves? Do you think they'll still be in old gold come end of the window?
Yes, although I'm not going to lie, I was getting twitchy with all the Traore talk earlier on in the week. We've been going to Tottenham, but I just think it would be suicide if we let any of those two leave now. We've got to keep them. I think, judging on the performances, not the results of the first two games, it's looked really promising. There's definitely a good team in that squad somewhere. Few more additions, and we'll be at the right end of the table. And I just think if we was to sell either Neves or Traore, it's just suicide. And I know Traore splits our fan base, majorly splits the fan base. But for me, he's the one player we need to keep the most.
Going into the game, Adama, Traore and Raul Jimenez are the two players in the top flight this season who have had the most shots without scoring this season, 10 and 7 respectively. Are those your two main concerns for Wolves this weekend, Scott?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Adama Traore is, he's got the abilities to hurt teams. It's just that kind of final product, but he's a scary player to play against a lot of the time. And Raul Jimenez, I think, is so important to Wolves, and I think he missed him quite a lot last season with his injury. So I'm glad he's back. I mean, things are bigger than football, right? So that injury was not nice, and I'm just glad to see that he's back on a pitch again. I just hope he doesn't score this weekend.
Do you expect Varane to come in this weekend knowing that United have failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 10 matches in all competitions?
They have to sort that out. So Victor Lindelof, I think he played well against Leeds. Nice assist with one of Bruno Fernandes's goals, but I think after the way they defended against Southampton, perhaps a change is about right. And they do need to stop, conceding goals and falling behind in games. Now, that with crowds there, I'm sure Molineux is going to be bouncing. If United fall behind to Wolves, it'll be a lot more difficult to get anything out of the game, let alone 3 points. So they need to make that transition at some point. I don't know whether it'll be after the international break, but I would probably expect that a player as experienced and as good as Varane can deal with it. And I think he will be the first choice centre-back with Harry Maguire. Moving forward, I think that they need to make that change as soon as possible, really, because that record is bad.
It's not great, is it, Luke? Obviously, the amount of chances that we've created in our last 3 games, hopefully we can finally get some goals on our tally in the league on Sunday against United. Do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I do. I'm quietly confident. The results haven't been what we've wanted, but the performances have been really, really positive. It's given us something to build on. I mean, before a ball was kicked, some fans had us relegated. So, it's changing the sort of mentality of the fan base as well. I think it's bringing a lot more positivity into the club, which is what we need. The fans are going to be behind us 100% on Sunday. I'm anticipating another fantastic atmosphere. And it's one of them, isn't it? Because obviously you've just flagged up that Man U haven't kept a clean sheet in, 10 or 11 consecutive games. So it's sod's law, isn't it, that they'll keep a clean sheet against us. It's just the way Wolves operate. But, all jokes aside, I do fancy us. It's crazy because obviously Man United, their transfer window has been absolutely fantastic, but I don't fear Man United how I used to back in the day. Like Man United at home, I think we can look at it and think let's play on the front foot. Play on the front foot because they have got weaknesses that we can exploit.
You did sort of skirt around the fact then that United haven't kept a clean sheet in 10 games and sod's law and whatnot. Wolves have lost their last 5 league games. We haven't suffered this sort of streak since we got relegated in 2012. So is the sod's law a draw this weekend?
Probably, mate. You know how it works. You've supported Wolves long enough. You know how we operate. I'm sure you've got another stat coming up as well, which points to Wolves losing. But it's one of them.
Wolves could lose consecutive home league games against Man United since the 60s. I mean, it's sod's law, isn't it? It's got to be. We've got to get the win with all these stats working against here. United, that clean sheet stat's pretty horrific for how high in the table they usually are. But is there any... Sorry, Luke. Is there any actual concern for you, Scott, that you don't win on Sunday? Like you said this morning, if you're going to be in the title race this season, you have to be winning games like this.
Yeah, I think that's the case for sure. I don't think there's a real good feeling, or there was a real good feeling around the signings that United had made that they could maybe step up and win the games that they were dropping points in. They've dropped a lot of points to Wolves, and since Wolves have come back up, so it's always a difficult game. Perhaps our conversation might have changed since this morning, or when we last spoke, because Ronaldo will help with winning these kinds of games. I mean, he does score a lot of goals, and I think his goals will help decide games. He's not just a stat padder who just, scores when United are already ahead or when his team are already ahead. He scores important goals. So I could see that helping out. But this weekend, they won't have him. So it's important. It's the third game of the season. And ultimately, if you're a United fan, or you're just looking at United objectively, you'd look at their first 7 or 8 fixtures and think they've got to be taking 20 to 24 points out of their first 8 games, and they've already dropped some. So these are all against teams who are, I don't want to say anything bad, but you would expect United's squad to beat Wolves based on the players they've got. But it doesn't always work out that way. So United have got to do that, because the teams who win the league do that better than anybody. That's just generally the case over the last few years. So I don't know. I'm still going for a 1-1 draw. I've got to be honest. I don't really have that confidence that United will get it done. But I think over the course of the season, they will manage to pick up more points with Ronaldo in the team.
We've mentioned it before, haven't we, Luke, about how we both rate Mason Greenwood, and he could become the second teenager scorer in his team's first 3 Premier League games of the season since Robbie Fowler in the mid-90s. Player that we think might be in the running for the World Cup squad at the end of the season. Is he one of your main worries, Luke, for Sunday?
Yeah, I just think he's absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's intelligent for his age. He's quick. He's strong. Left foot, right foot. He can go either way. He's gonna be a real top talent. I saw something. I think it was on Sky Sports or BBC in the week. It had the top. I think he's something the 6th highest scoring teenager in the Premier League on 19 goals, I think it is. I think Michael Owen was first, something ridiculous like 34. I think Robbie Fowler was up there. Can't remember the other 2 or 3 that was above him, but he was in some great company, and I think we're going to see some serious goals from this boy over the next couple of years, certainly. He's a threat, and you've got to watch out for him because he's a handful.
What's your sort of opinions on the Glazers after today, Scott? Because, I mean, you look at how much they spent on Cristiano Ronaldo, and Wolves spent more on Fabio Silva. So there's a bit of levels there, really, between the 2 clubs. Should you really spend a bit more on Cristiano Ronaldo when we've spent that much on Fabio Silva, who no doubt will probably outscore Ronaldo over his career?
Yeah, of course. I think that's a dead cert. If you go by Football Manager, anyway, I don't know if you guys play Football Manager, but he's been excellent on Football Manager down the years. The Glazers, I mean, let's be real. I mean, this is going to maybe not bury the hatchet, but it's going to appease a lot of United fans to bring Ronaldo back. The more sensible ones will know that the damage that they're doing to the club is ultimately so much bigger than any player that they end up signing. They've taken £1 billion out of Manchester United, and that's not like they're not investing their own money. So it's really difficult to stomach. They're profiting off the club, and they have been all this time. And you just think about it. You look at. I'm not saying that I'd want Manchester City's ownership, given all the political issues around them, but they've pumped $2 billion into the club, whereas the Glazers have taken out $1 billion, and it's still not gonna wash. I don't think you'll see protests quite like last season, given the business that United have done, but obviously that'll buy them a bit of time and a bit of it'll please some fans, maybe the more naive ones. But there's still an issue there, and it will be there until they sell up.
Anything for you, Luke?
I was just wanting to ask Scott, sort of, now you've signed Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane, fantastic window, hats off to you. What's the minimum expectation for Manchester United this season from a fan's point of view?
It's difficult because I was coming into this season not really expecting United to win the league, but I wanted to see a title challenge. I think that's probably the same. I don't know whether there might be some out there that think you just got Ronaldo, you've got Varane, you've got Sancho, you should be winning the league. But there's a lot of teams. There's three other teams really who can win the Premier League this season. Chelsea have signed Lukaku. That's a great signing for them. Yeah. City and Liverpool have done it, and they've shown consistency over the last few years that United just haven't. And I think I don't want to be greedy, but I think there's still an issue in midfield. And you can have Ronaldo, you can have Sancho, you can have Rashford, you can have Greenwood. You got to get the ball from the midfield to these players to score the goals. And I think that is an issue in certain games. And we might see that rock up every now and again. I do think Ollie will have this season to challenge for the title. If he finishes outside top 4, I think that might be curtains for him. But there's no excuses. They should be reaching that and putting in a title challenge at the minimum, I think. And then next season, perhaps even this season for some fans, but next season, if he doesn't get close to the league again, that'll be a difficult one to stomach. But they're set up now. In terms of their squad, they've got a young crop of players coming through. They've got really experienced players. They've got a good amount of players at their peak. Bruno Fernandes and Pogba are still there doing all the business. The squad's in a much better position now than it has been for years. So a title challenge has to come soon. And with Ronaldo there, maybe a league title can come back. But there's so much competition at the top of the table.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think touching on Chelsea, signing Lukaku, I mean, that could be a game changer for them. But it just makes it a little bit more exciting because we've had so many seasons where it's just been a one-horse race, hasn't it? Man City have gone and stormed it, or Man U used to just storm it every year, or Arsenal would storm it. If we could have a proper title race where with 6 games to go, there's 4 or 5 points separating City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. I think it's what the league needs.
It would be brilliant. We say that almost every year, and then it ends up that somebody does run away with it. But we always say it like, oh, this year it could actually happen. I actually mean it. This year it could actually happen, but we'll just have to wait and see, because City and Liverpool have done the consistency thing and reached levels that nobody's ever reached before. So if they can do that again, it'll be a test to the likes of United and Chelsea to keep the pace with them.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Dino in the comments section that says United have bought quality, that's for sure. Disappointed we've had lots of speculation, but nothing. We did discuss the Glazers a moment ago. What's your current mindset in regards to Fosun, Luke, and with the days running out on us quickly with the window?
They've got to back Bruno. It's as simple as that. They brought the club, all this chat about where they want to be, what they want to do, where they want the club to go. But you've got to back it as well. I don't want to sound sort of like a brat, because we have brought in some quality players. I mean, look where we are now to where we were 10, 15 years ago. We're worlds apart.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, we're worlds apart. But you've got to build on that. And it's so obvious to see that we're 3 players short of the first team / squad because we're not a million miles away, and this is a frustrating thing. We're not a million miles away from where we want to be, which is sort of around those Europa League spaces. So they need to pull the finger out and they need to back him. There's been a lot of talk. It's hard to say until the window's shut, because Fosun could do a madness on transfer deadline day for all we know. And they could go and spend 50, 60 million. They're just so unpredictable like that. So, but yeah, if they don't back him with 2 or 3 signings in, how long we've got left now? 5 days or something?
4
days.
Tuesday at 11.
If they don't back him with 2 or 3 signings, then serious questions need to be asked about their ambition and what they're trying to achieve.
What's your I think you said 1-1 earlier, Scott. If you was going to put some charitable bet on, what it would be sort of first goal scorer in that?
Well, there's somebody from the Wolves team because United always fall behind when they play away from home. So it'd be a nice story for Raul Jimenez to get one. I think probably most likely on United's side might be Mason Greenwood because you spoke about him earlier on. He's just so natural. He can go with both feet. He's just deadly. He'll fill out as well over the next few years. He's very intelligent. I would probably make him the most likely to score on United's end because he's looked really dangerous. But Bruno Fernandes loves a penalty, so you never know. But yeah, to be honest, I think that Wolves will get a point this weekend. I don't really want to say that, but I think they will.
Agree with that, Luke?
Yeah, I'll take a point right now. I would take a point against Manchester United. I just hope it's not one of them games where we lose 1-0 and Fred scores in the 73rd minute. Those frustrating fixtures. Like, remember Arsenal in the semi-final of the Cup and Christopher Wray broke our hearts. But I want to put my neck on the line. I'm feeling an end-to-end 3-2, like 3-2 Wolves, like when we played Man City a couple of seasons ago. I'm going to go with a Jimenez brace, Traore, and then from Man United, we'll go Greenwood and Maguire.
That would seriously make it a proper Sky Super Sunday edition. Scott, thanks for coming on. Hopefully, we'll see you at the 90-Minute Network Christmas party whenever that's arranged.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to be on.
Nice one, Scott.
Nice to meet you, Scott.
Cheers, guys.
Right. Thanks to Scott coming on there. Luke, what's your sort of memories of United games gone by? We've had a few since 2003 when we got promoted. What sort of games stand out for you?
Obviously, the cup quarter at Molineux. Away, we was talking about it today, wasn't we? 2002. And we lost 1-0. John O'Shea,
early
perfect
goal,
example of what I was trying to explain earlier. Lose 1-0 to a John O'Shea goal. And we absolutely battered. Well, not that we battered them, but we had some chances, didn't we? We had some really, really good chances. That one really sticks out to me because, God, how old was I? I was only about 17 at the time. 16, 17. And like Wolves playing Man United was massive then, wasn't it? It was absolutely huge. Wolves at Old Trafford in a league game. Oh, my God. So that one really stands out to me. We played them in a pre-season friendly as well, didn't we? In about 1994.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite memories. Steve Bull scoring past Peter Schmeichel.
Yeah, that stands out. That was
when we were growing up. Like I said, you might be a couple of years older than me, which people might think's a bit daft, but you are. But Peter Schmeichel in like the 93, 95, around them years, he was like a computer game goalkeeper. It seemed impossible to score past him, so only Bully could do it. It was just mental. He lobbed him. Like it was like the only way you could score past Peter Schmeichel was to lob him. There's a quick Kevin.
Was it sort of like a half volley, sort of inside the foot, dinked it over him?
Yeah, I think it might have been similar to his goal against Scotland, where it bounced off his back, and Schmeichel came running out, and just lobbed it over him. Got another Man United guest on now, coming all the way from Los Angeles. How you doing, Tim?
Morning, chaps. It's been a bit of a weird one. I didn't expect to wake up to quite what I woke up to this morning. I've been up about an hour and still can't get my head around it. I was completely at ease with Ronaldo going to City. I was like, end of his career. He wants to take on Messi one more time. He's a winner. City are the best team in England. I get it. I was like, I don't blame him for going. I wasn't mad at him, but I mean, I woke up this morning to text messages and Twitter, and I'm like, that's fucking mental. So
go on, you crack on.
You're allowed to swear.
You fucking want to.
I was just mind blown. I mean, I've had a season ticket since '85, and I still have my season tickets now, even though I live here, because at some point I'll come back, and I've got an 8-year-old daughter now who loves United too, and so I got a second season ticket this year. And the mad thing is that the new tickets I've got are literally 2 rows behind where Ollie sits, behind the bench. So I've suddenly ended up with the best tickets I've ever had. And we've got the best team we've had since Fergie. But having said that, I still think we're behind City. So, and possibly Chelsea, maybe Liverpool, but that hurts me to say.
So that took you a bit long to get to Liverpool.
I had to force it out of myself. But I think that Liverpool are the most catchable of those teams. City, I still think, they're phenomenal coach, play amazing football. They've got the best players, and Grealish will add to them. He's a fabulous football player. And if a team can be talking about possibly letting Raheem Sterling leave, that's a phenomenal football team. But yeah, so that was my morning. I woke up to that, and I can't work out how we fit him in the team, let alone anything else. We haven't got a central midfield at the moment. We have this pivot of McTominay and Fred, which they're good players. They're solid. They're good players. But when you've got a club that has been spoiled by having a great manager, the expectations of challenging, amongst the fan base more than anything else, become insane. And so you look at the team in such detail and you're going, all right, where could it upgrade? And you look at City and they've got 2 players of position everywhere, 2 players of position. And if you think that you could or should be competing with City or PSG or Bayern Munich or then Chelsea, then you need to have that sort of stuff at your disposal. And until you clear up such an important area of the pitch, I think it's difficult. We've got obviously amazing attacking talent now, and I'm hoping that Varane is a upgrade on poor old Lindelof, who isn't quite at world class. I'm very keen on Maguire, but I think that he's very isolated at the moment because we've not found him a partner that's got the speed that he hasn't, the recovery that he hasn't. So I still think, whilst the last few weeks for us have been amazing with incoming players, because we're used to lots of talk and then ended up with somebody like Igalo on the last day of the transfer window, which again, I know it's very spoiled, but like I say, I've grown up with a club that's always had a lot of money because of the fan base, and we've spent the last few years, what to other people looks like spunking loads of money, but to us it's penny pinching, because we know that the owners have been taking more money than they've been spending out of our club to pay for their buying of the club. So, oh no, sorry.
That's the Glazers ringing you to tell you to shut up. That was then.
Stop the slating. So let me try and get the when I see you again. But no, it's been. I think the how we balance the team and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, he's had enough.
He did mention earlier that he wasn't sort of gutted about Cristiano going to Man City. It's been 12 years since Cristiano Ronaldo played for Man United.
Do you know what makes me laugh? Because he's obviously in a different time zone to us. So we would have gone to sleep last night thinking, fucking hell, them bastards have got Ronaldo. And then he's woke up this morning that he's going back to Man United. So he's going to have a very, very good Friday.
Let's bring on one of the Fancast favourites.
He's one of our own. He's one of our own. Tim V's back.
Stewie Hall, he's one of
our own.
Never been described as a favourite before. So that's it's a nice thing to say. Tim's back as well, by the way.
What did you make to some of Tim's comments there, Stu, about sort of Cristiano Ronaldo? If he would have joined Man City, he wouldn't have been disappointed. Would you think that's fair?
he's convinced himself that he's not bothered. I think any of them saying that they wouldn't mind him going to City. Nah, they're lying to themselves. They'd have been absolutely. They'd have been gutted with they. They wouldn't be able
some of the videos of the United fans burning the Ronaldo shirts today.
Yeah, no,
actually?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So then there's people reversing the videos so it like comes back together.
Brilliant.
It's pathetic. I mean, before he's even signed anything, they're doing that kind of thing for likes and clicks. And modern world.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few Wolves fans who did the same when Jota went to Liverpool.
Well, it wouldn't be me. Well, that's well documented, but yeah, but it's a level above 8. Him coming back superb for everyone.
Yeah.
Gully. Yeah, well, Gully's going to look very foolish in a few months' time, isn't he?
Gully's signed up to the Farmers League subscription on beIN Sports for when Messi goes back to PSG against Baguette FC and the like. I'm not sure why he's gone there. The 6th best league in the world. I mean, there's levels to this. Cristiano Ronaldo's come back to the hardest league in the world, and that's why, in mine and Luke's eyes, he is better than Messi. And if anyone calls him Ronaldo, them getting kicked off the show because his name's Cristiano, he'll never be Ronaldo. Oh no,
I think I called it Ronaldo. I'll have to say my Hail Marys after.
What was your opinion on the Forest win the other night, Stu? Like I said to Stu, Luke earlier, Buzzies usually comes, they usually come in 2s, but they came in 4s the other night.
Someone was bound to get absolutely battered while they eventually. You can't keep playing like that and someone not suffer. So hopefully it's not just because it was Forest. And looking at the goals, I mean, for context, that was the first game since 2005 that I haven't watched in some capacity, either live or on telly, which was annoying. But
maybe you should do more. Yeah, maybe that's why we won.
Yeah, maybe me throwing my toys at the pram and saying I'm not doing this anymore for cup games kind of worked. But yeah, I've never been so happy being joint bottom of the league in my life. It's amazing. It's just superb. We could quite easily get battered 4 on Sunday. I don't think we will, but the way we're playing, it's just. I think it's more a case of after the last 18 months of absolute nonsense that we've gone from that to watching this, and it's such a departure. It's so lovely to see, and even players that we all thought, well, some people thought were finished, like Martinho, and Neves, who was shackled within. They got balls and chains. They got spikes and levers all over them. The way they've been made to play for the last year and a half. So then with freedom, everyone just looks refreshed. Even Dendoncker looks like he's up for it. So yeah, I was buzzing with it. I watched the highlights about 3 or 4 times. So watching Sky Sports News on repeat, even though it's the same thing. It was just wonderful.
I mean, I mentioned this to Luke earlier. Considering Liverpool played Norwich and Burnley in their first 2 games, the fact that they've only had 4 more shots than us showed just the attacking intent that we've been missing for the last 18 months, didn't it, Stu?
Yeah. And, well, not that if you wouldn't know that if you just watch Match of the Day and believe what they put out. The suspect editing there, as usual. But
Dele Alli was in for the Ballon d'Or nomination after last week's game, wasn't he, from Ian Wright?
Oh, fuck it. I didn't even notice him during the game. I didn't notice him one bit until they started talking about him in the highlights. That you don't believe anything that's on TV, kids. That's that's all you can put for that. But yeah,
would you make any changes going into the game Sunday, Stu?
It's tricky because we know when Marcel's there to protect Saïss and vice versa. So, personally, I'd bring Ait-Nouri in and just go at him. Just do it. Just do them from the start. But in a sensible world, Marcel's probably going to play. So, if it was me, I'd drop Saïss and put Marcel there, and with Ait-Nouri next as wing back, and have proper actual wing backs. And then you've got. It's not like he's a foreigner in that position, is he? I mean, he played in the Champions League as a left-sided centre back, so. That's the main one that I'd change. Everything else kind of speaks for itself. I mean, Traoré, I'm not even going to go into that again. But it does show that Gibbs White can play there, though, and play there in this system quite well. So I think, personally, that's all I'd change, really, for Saïss, for Ait-Nouri.
Can you give me a quick score prediction, Stu?
3 each.
3 each. As I said, it's going to be an absolute Sky Super Sunday masterclass if these predictions come off tonight.
But it'll be a stinker now.
Yeah, it's
Now
gonna
we've
be,
predicted
yeah, we've
goals,
had
it's
all
gonna
these
be a
predictions.
stinker.
I'll give you all these stats that says it ain't going to be a 0-0 draw. It's going to be an absolute stinker. Stuart, it's always a pleasure, never a chore. I'll see you Sunday.
Of course. Dara.
See you later, Stu.
Tim, good to have you
hello.
back.
So, can I tell you my Wolves history? So, like when I was about 19, I had no, I must have been a bit younger, about 17 maybe. I met this girl in France on holiday from Shrewsbury, and we were kind of seeing each other. And I lived in Macclesfield, and the
What
train.
does kind of seeing each other mean, Tim?
Well, I think I thought I was seeing her, but she, but
It's kind of like Man City. Man City thought they were signing Cristiano Ronaldo, but they didn't.
Worse. But I used to go to Shrewsbury on the train. You had to go via Wolverhampton, and one time I went and surprised her, and she just said, "What are you doing here?" "I'm busy." So I was like, "Fuck, shit," and I had to go back. So Wolves were at home, and I can't remember which division they were in, but they only had two sides of the ground open. It was the old South Bank, is that right? And the new main stand on the right, and then the other end and the left side weren't even open. There were only two sides, and the away fans were in the South Bank next to the Wolves fans, and it was when Steve Bull was there. And I ended up sort of adopting Wolves as like a second team for a while. So whenever United games were cancelled, I was going to Molineux because I loved Steve Bull, loved the atmosphere. So I've always since then had a soft spot for the Wolves. And actually, I've managed Dex's Midnight Runners for a number of years. And Kev Rowland, I don't know if you know, he's a Wolves fan. I've taken him to Old Trafford in the past, tried to turn him, but no, Kevin's Wolves all the way. And so we talk about Wolves quite a lot, and we were both kind of gutted when Nuno left. I heard a bit of your conversations just then about the football over the last 18 months, but I do think he's a world-class coach. And I think that one of the things that I noticed about Wolves over the last 18 months is really unlucky with injury. Little bits and pieces that stop the flow of the team, and maybe it was time for a freshen up. But I actually think Wolves are a far better team than people think because of that season. I think they're forgetting that you had a world-class striker suffer a horrific injury, and it's not like you had 10 strikers like United or City or somebody, Chelsea or somebody, to just come in and replace somebody of that quality. I think you've got a lot of fantastic players. The culture of Wolves has changed so much now, and I don't think Wolves are going to struggle this season by any means. I genuinely don't think they're one of those clubs that's going to struggle. I just think they have to find a new identity under the new manager. And as for Sunday, I think lad that was just on was right. I think to get a result against this United team, you just have to go at them. You have to put that central midfield that I was talking about under pressure, because until Varane settles in, the United have a bit of a soft centre. Not necessarily that great on set pieces, but also no pace through the middle. So if you've got players like Traore who are direct, we have players like Martial, Wan-Bissaka, great players, but the end product can be a bit frustrating. And I understand that that's the way a bit with Traore, but he's also lightning. He puts every single player that plays against him on the back foot. Yeah. So, if I'm Wolves, that's where I go for it. I find it impossible to predict a United game at the moment, because you look at what happened. It depends on the opposition. The only thing is, if the opposition is too free-flowing, then what happened to Leeds can happen to any team because of the United attacking talent. I think, if it'll take a minute to see the best of Sancho, but he's obviously what he did in Dortmund speaks for itself. Cavani's a world-class striker, but we have a very good set of players. I believe in the coach. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of my fellow United fans don't think Ollie's the man. I think that I don't want to see my team changing and chopping and trying to bring in some mega coach to bring overnight success. I want to see us building a foundation to challenge for a while and not, I think it's amazing what Chelsea did last year. I think Tuchel has proven himself immediately. He's an instant legend, but, you never know how long that will last at Chelsea. You always feel like it changes around the corner. I don't really want that for my club. That's all I mean.
What's your opinions on Solskjaer, Luke? I'm Tim's probably going to disagree with me here. I don't mean this to sound like I'm being disparaging to Solskjaer or Nuno, but I think they're both the same sort of level of coach when it comes to the Premier League. I think they're fantastic at getting one-off game results like Ollie showed against PSG in the Champions League, the various one-off games that Nuno did. But I think over a 38-game season, I think they fall short from being a good coach to a great coach.
I think there's no doubt, right, that there are special coaches in world football. Klopp, Guardiola, it looks like Tuchel could be one of those, but he didn't do that great at PSG. Considering what he had, it wasn't like he killed it. But I think, like any job, there's a period of learning, isn't there?
Yeah,
it's a grade, and I think I done a couple of coaching badges when I was younger, and it's hard, and I did the basic ones. It was hard work, and so I think to even survive under the pressure of managing Man United, to improve us year on year when big coaches like LVG and so forth couldn't handle the expectations, and a spoilt fan base, the terrible fan base at times, United. But I think with Solskjaer, I prefer to see a coach learning on the job that understands the culture of the club. Because I said to somebody the other day, they're like, aren't you disappointed we're not winning trophies? I'm like, well, only a certain number of clubs can win trophies every year. If when I go to Old Trafford, I'm looking forward to it, I feel like we can be competitive and entertained and may challenge. For me, as a football fan, who started going in 85 when, we hadn't won the league in 20 years and so forth. And I'm pleased with what Solskjaer's brought to the club. I just think, great transfer window. And those players don't come if they think the coach is shit. Certainly not Sancho or Varane. He must have been compelling in his discussions, and with Ronaldo too. Ronaldo's a winner. He wants to win. So yeah. I don't have the expectancy that United have to win the league or European Cup every year, because that's just, who do you think you are? You have to earn it. So I love Ollie as well. I was obviously there in '99. I missed 3 matches that season. Like, the whole season, home and away, Europe. It was just that one season when I lived in England, I rarely missed an away match, home, away, Europe, let alone home games. It's been one of the hardest things about moving to America is, that was my life. That was the only thing I had outside music was football, so I don't want to change. I don't want to start again. I want to see where we can go with this. You know what I mean?
I think Ollie is what's holding Man United back. I think when you think of Manchester United, you think of the best, the creme de la creme, the best of the best, the top of the top. Especially for my generation, sort of, I got into football around 92, 93. So all them Premier League years, it was just Man United, a little bit of Arsenal. And I just, not that I dislike Ollie, I think he was a fantastic footballer. I mean, when he played for Man United, his role as super sub, fantastic. He scored some brilliant goals. I just think as a coach, he just falls a little bit short. of being what Man United want and need to get back to that level of being the best of the best, because ultimately that's where Man United fans would like to be, probably where they were in the mid 90s to the mid noughties.
You're totally right. And I think the fans that have grown up in your area definitely think that. But like for me, for instance, Fergie came in '86. We didn't win the league for 6 years. You know, and you know, it's easy to forget that like I say, that coaching's a craft, and Ollie's making high-end mistakes. You know, we saw that in the Europa final. We've seen it in the Champions League last year, where we didn't even get out of a group we should have won. You know, with the talent in the team. But like you say, there are certain games and certain runs of games where you see everything clicking, and he's got to learn how to keep it consistent. But I also look around and go, who are we bringing in? Instead of
a good question, Tim. One Dino in the comments section says, "Who would be your ideal manager?" If Luke mentioned United being like creme de la creme, and that they tried it with Mourinho, they tried it with Van Gaal. Neither manager, like you mentioned earlier, Tim, that knew the culture of the club. They were good at what they did. Did they both win silverware at United? I know Jose did. Van Gaal?
They both did.
They both
Van
won
Gaal
silverware.
Got sacked after winning the cup, which I thought was atrocious. You know, as much as I hated his football, he just won the FA Cup, and as he's walking out of the Wembley, he gets a text message that Josie's got his job. Horrible. Yeah. What a shit football club for doing that. I don't know is my answer to that. You know, my ideal manager for the club is Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, it's the same as if you ask an Arsenal fan now. You know, and I have a lot of Arsenal fan mates who obviously were tearing into me during the Moyes, Van Gaal era. You know, United shit, play horrible football, you're finished. And it's like, wait till Wenger leaves. Wait till you lose a world-class legendary manager who is irreplaceable. Yeah. You know, whoever comes in after a legend is screwed.
Yeah. Tim, we made the point earlier. You look at the window that Man United have had, Varane, Sancho, and now Cristiano Ronaldo, and you've spent less than what Arsenal have this window. Someone's Jordan P in the comments. How much of a deciding factor do you think Fergie was in the re-signing of Ronaldo? How much strings is still pulling behind the curtains?
We have no idea, do we? You would hope that he was involved, because they obviously, every time you read Ronaldo interviews about Sir Alex, it's like he's my football father, and obviously I saw 99% of Ronaldo's games for United in the flesh, so I experienced the early times of frustration with him because of him diving and the silly tricks, and then staying on his arse if he got tackled properly, So, we saw him go from this kid that was a bit of a show pony, exciting, fitted United, but was really used to annoy, especially away fans, to winning us over because he started winning games on his own. We had a great team with Ronaldo and Tevez and Rooney, but he was winning games on his own at times. There was literally times where, I remember Fulham away, it was 0-0. We couldn't get going. He picked up the ball 8 minutes to go on the halfway line, ran past the whole team and smashed it in the net. Did it at Porto away, scored a goal from 40 yards.
I remember that goal.
Do you remember? And then Roma away, where he scored a header. He literally ran, and it was superhuman. I know he's not that player anymore, but the one thing I think he will really bring, and I think that Cavani has brought to United too, is that, and Cantona brought it when he came, is changes the mentality of training. Because if you're expected to win in training, you've got people who just win. You look at I saw this amazing interview you might have seen with Gary Neville, Roy Keane walking the dog yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, Keane actually starting to become likable. I never thought that was possible, that you could ever like Roy Keane as a person. But now in that interview, you sort of see that he would be a good laugth to be around.
He'd literally tackle his own grandmother to win a game of Monopoly, wouldn't he?
Exactly. And I think that we all mistake that sometimes. And the reason why I genuinely was at peace with Ronaldo going to City is because I see Ronaldo as that character. He's only driven by winning and by being the greatest, by taking on Messi. I think he's taken a risk coming to us instead of going to City.
Yeah.
Because City will challenge.
Do you 100% believe that now that Man City haven't signed Kane this window? Could that be the difference between you finishing above City?
I think they're too good. I think if I was a City fan, honestly, I'd be a little bit relieved because for all this short-term pain, they now are back in the race for Haaland next summer.
Yeah.
And he's a transformational player. He's a player that whoever signs him is going to attract everybody else. So I thought that if they get Kane, Chelsea get Big Rom, Real Madrid get him back, then I don't see Haaland going to PSG. I think he wants to come to the Premier League. I don't think he wants to go Bayern Munich. I think he'll feel like he's done in that league.
Yeah.
More money in the Premier League. And if you look at what's happening now, obviously PSG are the Galacticos, but the British Premier League, think about when we were kids. It was like Juan Sebastian Veron came and we were all like, oh my God, a good player has come to England in their 20s. It was mind-blowing. Look at what we get now as Premier League fans. You've got Moutinho playing for your team. You've got Jimenez playing for your team. You know, these are players who 25 years ago, we'd have loved, you'd have thought it would have been a dream for United to sign players like that.
They was only accessible via computer games, wasn't it, Luke?
Yeah, FIFA and Football Manager, that was it.
It's amazing times. The main thing, the other thing I said yesterday when I thought Ronnie was going to City was, wow, imagine being a kid at Southampton, a kid at any club where you've got a season ticket and you know that 1 week you're going to go and you're going to see one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah,
Tim, Luke's heartbroken for his son who's going to miss out on Cristiano Ronaldo because he signed too late.
Yeah, my lad's gutted. He's absolutely gutted. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit gutted as well, but I don't want to say that too loud because
look, Luke, later in the season, you can have one of my. You can take him to see United in my seats. I mean that. Like it might be a League Cup game or something.
Yeah.
But later in the season, take your son. I have my 2 seats, and if I'm not there, you take your son to see him. It's what the sort of thing that I'm talking about is that imagine if I was able to say to my daughter, I saw Pele play.
Yeah.
This is what it's like now. Ronaldo and Messi. I just can't believe that the Premier League is now where we used to see the Spanish League or Serie A. Or we used to watch those games on a Sunday on TV. Go, wow! They get all the Brazilians. They get all the great players, the great Italians, and they all want to come to the Premier League.
Do you want to know another reason why I dislike Messi so much, Luke? about a year or so ago, Argentina were playing Italy in a friendly at the Etihad. I decided to take my old man because my dad loves Messi.
Yeah.
He's in the squad, Messi. He doesn't play in the game.
Oh,
so I make all this effort to take my dad to see Messi, even though I hate Messi, and he doesn't even step his foot on the pitch. And Cristiano's shoulders above for me, and I'll die on that hill.
Yeah.
Tim, obviously we're a Wolves podcast. Who are you fearing in our side Sunday, and what's your score prediction?
But you saw at the weekend, you saw what can happen. If a team plays with confidence, and I also think that what I actually fear, I know it sounds a weird thing to say, is the home fans, because I think that the first 2 games of these seasons so far, the team that's been at home, if they get a tiny bit of momentum, you saw it especially on that first night, Brentford Arsenal, because the fans are so excited to be back. It's such an amazing thing to actually have an outlet for all of our weekly frustrations, to go somewhere, we'd be around people that we love, and to be back in that. Wolves is an intimidating place to go when that place is rocking. It's close to the pitch. The fans are all proper fans. It's like going to Tottenham. You're not going to go on Tottenham. You'd never feel like you're going for a nice day out like you're at Arsenal or Chelsea even, or United, where there's a lot of kind of tourists and a family vibe. And I'm not saying families don't go, but what I mean is it
feels like a bit old school.
Yeah, but most people that are going to see Wolves live within 30 miles of the ground. It's a proper club. So
we haven't been corrupted by the corporate yet, have we, to a degree?
You don't think so?
I don't think Wolves have been corrupted by the corporate side of football in regards to. I still think it's a predominantly working class.
Oh
fan base on match days.
I think Wolves is a proper club. I think it is. Yeah. I think I'd be proud to be a Wolves fan, and it's smart with even the names of the stands. They even think about, the legacy and history of the club. Yeah. It's a proper club, and like I say, my memories of Wolves is Steve Bull staying. I remember one time. I remember somebody ran for local council, and I had a poster that said "Vote Wolves" with that amazing old school logo, the sort of drawn wolf that was amazing. So I think that's the thing for Wolves. If they get their fans going, they've got the players, they get the fans going, then they can make United nervous. And I don't think it will be a high scoring game, honestly. I think it'll be quite tight. I want to think that we'll react well to last week and win 2-1. But that's with bias. I'm not confident in that prediction. I don't think this is a 3-point game, especially not at this point in the season when, again, it's such a weird summer. The Olympics, Euros, last season was a lot of work and it finished really late. So I don't think we're seeing the best of any teams until after Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be some mad results. I mean, Spurs beat City. And to me, that's a shock. Because City
Spurs even beat us, which was a shock as well. Was that terrible?
Well, I think Tottenham are good, but I just think City are phenomenal.
Of course. I think as well, when you're playing one of the bigger clubs, the better clubs, the top six, big six, whatever you want to call them, it sometimes works in your favour if you can get them early in the season, before they've got the momentum and they've got their swag, their mojo, whatever else, So sometimes the worst time to catch your Man Uniteds or your Man Cities, your Liverpools is November, when they're just getting into the groove and things are starting to click.
February, March, when the league race comes, if one of those teams has got a momentum, you saw it with City last season, when they start winning, and you just can't stop them winning.
They just become relentless then, don't they?
But whereas right now, United haven't got half their team. I'd be shocked if Sancho, Cavani, Varane start at the weekend. We're way behind. We certainly won't see Ronnie, and we certainly won't see Rashford. Obviously, he's injured. McTominay's injured. It's a good time to catch us. Good time to catch us.
I think from a Wolves fan's point of view, I think Wolves fans have to take a lot from. We've had 2 Manchester United fans on now, and you've predicted a 2-1 Man United win with bias, as you said. Scott predicted a 1-1 draw. I think that's testament to how far Wolves have come. 100%. Because 10 years ago, 99% of Man U fans would have seen Wolves at Molineux as a routine 2-0 Man United win.
100%.
But now Man United fans don't see us that way. I think Wolves fans should take a lot of credit from that and sort of try and embed that up there and realise where we are now to where we were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, as Dan mentioned earlier.
One of the best things that I thought Roy Keane said in that interview with Gary Neville was when he was talking about his time managing Sunderland, and he was talking about how the first 5 years after promotion is just about survival, to build a foundation to become a Premier League team. If you think about it, for Wolverhampton Wanderers, who went down to Division 4, to now be, say, again, a great historic club, is now an established Premier League club, a place where international players will go. You're not Norwich. You're not.
Say it, Tim. Say West Brom, Tim.
I mean, West Brom just lost 6-0 to Arsenal. West Brom let a goalkeeper score against them in the last minute of a game. West Brom, surely, come on. But no, seriously, Wolves are an established club now, but that's because they got a world-class coach in Nuno. I know you think he's not like Guardiola, but he did put you in this. It was a lot of the reason that you're in this position because he attracted world-class players, played fantastic, smart football, worked with what he had, and took a club that needed to establish itself and established itself. And maybe you both needed a change. Maybe that was the right thing to do because, I've just left the company I've been working for 8 years because I just need to freshen up and I need to go and learn again. And I think it'll be good for everybody in the long term. And I just think with Nuno, sometimes an opportunity comes along. I know that they got rid of him before that, but I think he had to try and take a step up in his career just for his own personal career's sake. I know loyalty is important to us as fans, but, football's a hard career and it's short and it can be brutal. I mean, how many managers can we name who seem to be established, like John Gregory? He was a top manager at one point.
David O'Leary.
Yeah, I mean,
where's he now?
Yeah, who are these? Where are all these people? And there's loads of names like that.
Mm.
So I do get it that people, and that's why I said the same about Ronaldo. Because of what I do for a living, I have to get over the emotion of things, and it was just business. If he'd have gone to City, it's legacy building. I don't blame anybody for choosing Man City over Man United right now, who wants to win something. I'm not angry at those people anymore. I'd have loved Jack Grealish. Loved him. Brilliant player. I love Raheem Sterling. Love Kevin De Bruyne. I didn't know anything about Jota. Didn't know. He's been a revelation to me at Liverpool. I had no idea he was that good.
Yeah.
It was not a signing that worried me. I did not see that coming. Didn't see it coming, but he looks like a phenomenal signing. And I think there's a lot of players at Wolves like that, and it'll be really interesting to see under new coaching what players turn into if they're under a different set of instructions with more freedom than Nuno ball.
Yeah.
But you've touched on it there, Tim. We had a question from the comment section saying, would Tim like to have United to have signed Ruben Neves? You talked about that midfield, Fred and McTominay. How much of a good addition would Neves have been there?
Perfect. Just obviously one of the two perfect players in the UK in Declan Rice and Ruben Neves. I mean, he's proven his intelligence is unbelievable. I read recently that he's looking to play a bit more of a forward role in the new Wolves setup, which means that he wouldn't want to come to United because we definitely need a holding player. We need a holding player, and I think he's a fabulous player. And I think again, it's just like I say, you bring up names like that, Neves and Moutinho. These are players that would easily sit in our team. They're world-class footballers, and football's like all about chemistry and context. And Neves, a fantastic player. The player of my dreams in that position is Jude Bellingham. I think that if we got him, then you've got 15 years of a world-class player. Yeah. I think whoever gets him, Chelsea get him. Him and Haaland, I think I'll have obviously Mbappe, amazing. I'm not a big Neymar fan. I just think that those sort of players that have got it all, like the commitment and the love of the game, because I do feel like Haaland is a pure footballer. Like you can tell.
He's so focused, isn't he, in what he wants and his goals. I think I look at Haaland like he's just a machine.
Isn't
that he was built to succeed in football.
And who's the last player who was exactly like that? It's Cristiano. Like a physical specimen, can do it all, can do it on his own, can play team football if you need him to. I think Haaland's got anywhere he can go. I think Bellingham too. Like, think about that kid. He's 19 and he's bussing central midfields in Germany.
Yeah.
At 19, that's mental. And Neves as well. They come over from different leagues and come into the hardest, best league in the world, and people are all looking at Neves going, "Nah, fancy that one, fancy him," and it won't just be United trying to sign him over the next couple of years. The cat's out of the bag on him now. Fantastic football player. Cody's a great football player. His numbers. People don't spot them because they're only looking at the big players, but he's a very efficient player. There's a reason why people like Southgate trust him. I think it's hard to be like Norwich at the moment. I get that, but I think most of the sort of top 15 Premier League teams, it's an amazing time to be a fan of them because we're seeing the best players that have ever been to our grounds in our lives, and we couldn't have imagined it when we were younger. And that's why, for me, I'm not so asked about whether we find the next big coach, because somebody asked before, who's my ideal coach? I haven't got a clue, because Tuchel's at Chelsea. He's obviously one of the best. Klopp, we can't touch Klopp. And as much as I hate them more than anything, he's an amazing coach. Amazing. Guardiola, amazing coach. I don't want.
Who's following on from these coaches? Who's following on from them coaches?
Well, the Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich looks like he's got the ability, but it'll come from nowhere, won't it? It'll be somebody we don't expect, and
hopefully Bruno Lage.
You never know.
You don't know, because that's how these coaches come about, don't they? I mean, we talk about Alex Ferguson now. When he was at Aberdeen, nobody would have been speaking about him. Was it Seb Mirren before Aberdeen as well? And, they've just come from nowhere, these coaches. They have 3 good seasons with a club that nobody expects, and it's like, wow, okay. Give him an opportunity to step up. He does it again, and then them at the big clubs.
Wenger didn't even do that. It wasn't like he when he came to
Grampus 8, wasn't it?
Arsenal who? That's
that was the headline on the paper, wasn't it? There was fan demonstrations saying they didn't want him because he was from Grampus 8 and no one had ever heard of him, and those Arsenal fans and eating humble pie again for getting him sacked in the end, aren't they?
Absolutely. And this is the thing: is we don't know it, because you look at it could have been any of those coaches that have taken a step up. Or it could be somebody who's learning on the job at the moment. Do you know who's impressed me recently, even though and this is an example of what I'm saying about learning and getting better, is I just think I've taken the piss out of this guy for the last 10 years, but Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, fantastic. He should be the next England manager for me.
Brilliant coach. Brilliant
coach, Tim. If he wasn't for Steven Gerrard falling on his arse, he'd have a Premier League winners medal now, that guy.
Gerrard's another one, though. I think Gerrard will have a decent coaching career.
Agreed. Again, these people, I hate them, but it doesn't mean that I can't just step back and go,
appreciate them.
And I do think that you just don't know, and that's the beauty of this game. Is when we signed Ronaldo the first time, I remember this 1,000,000% clearly, because I have MUTV. I'm that sad. I've got MUTV, and they show all the pre-season friendlies live. And we played Sporting Lisbon, and he tore us a new one.
It was on O'Shea to shreds, didn't they?
It was like, who the hell's this kid? Don't even know who he is. And we were all talking about it on the forums the next day. Who's that kid who just tore us apart? And but nobody knew about him until that game. Behind the scenes, they did. Liverpool had talked to him, Arsenal had talked to him, United were talking to him, but we didn't as fans. One of the things that's really annoying about being a modern day fan is social media, because, some are, fucking Indy Calla and all these in the know people who are, and so they'll bring up some obscure player. I remember it happened with Mkhitaryan, right? And there was talk of Mkhitaryan to Liverpool, and there was the whole summer where Liverpool fans were going on, Mickey this, Mickey that, Mkhitaryan's going to change everything. I'm like, who watches German football? Who watches German football on their weekend to know?
To the degree where you know exactly how good this player is. And you're totally right with social media, because there's too many accounts out there now that just tweet or Facebook or Instagram so much bullshit like they know, and they haven't got a clue. Just, winds me up.
Well, but people saying that, that what's his name? Hassan, I don't know how you say it, Aour.
Aour. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, from
the French fullback.
Is he from Lyon?
He's a winger, isn't he? He's a winger. I haven't got all these Arsenal fans saying, let's get him. Based on what? All these United fans saying, Camavinga. Who's watching Ren play football? Who's watching Ren play football?
I think it's like a lot of football fans with Fabio Silva, because he was some sort of beast on Football Manager. They just assume that it translates onto the real pitch, doesn't it?
I am, like, I've got Football Manager loaded right here now, because I'm going to blast the shit out of it once I finish this. But all jokes aside, people do take the mick out of Football Manager, but it is an effective scouting tool. Don't get me wrong, they get some stuff wrong. They probably get more wrong than they get right, but honestly, it shouldn't be mocked as much as it is. That's all I'll say.
Who doesn't? What football fan hasn't gone through a Football Manager obsession phase? Because if there is one, they're a moron. Because it's like saying you've never played FIFA or never played ISS. It's like, well, what?
Yeah.
Come on. Football Manager is amazing. And weirdly enough, I know the fellow who was part of starting it, and he's like an MBE now, a big Watford fan. And
is that Miles Jacobson, is it? Or
Miles, yeah.
Miles Jacobson?
Yeah.
No way.
He was in the music industry. He used to be a publisher. And the reason I know Miles is because in the late 80s, I had my first job in London. And this is mental. But like at the time, I used to follow the Stone Roses around. And this woman from the Daily Star called me up and said, do you want to come and work in London? I'll pay you £300 a day. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? I'm from Macclesfield. I'm definitely coming to London. I stayed at my grand's, and I was working in the office at the Daily Star. So all I used to do was phone like public relations people for indie bands and say, can I come to your gig tonight? I work at the Daily Star. And they'd be like, somebody from the Daily Star's coming to watch The House of Love or something like that. So I was going out to like 1 million gigs in London. I'd literally go to 3 a night. And I would always bump into these lads. And there's one lad who was really mad, and he would say to me, this year I've been to 232 gigs. I've had 27 backstage passes. I've had 190 guest lists. And he was like that. He's like a proper, like, nerd, obsessive. And that's Miles. He used to follow all these bands around, and he was a fan. And then next thing you know, he went to Food Records, where he worked with people like Blur and stuff like that. And then he moved into publishing, and he was the first person to work out that there was a business to be had putting music in computer games. And then he did the manager thing, and he's a lovely bloke. He's totally, you wouldn't believe that he's super rich and an MBE and all that stuff. But he's still that same like nerdy guy who's really nice, loves his football team, loves music like you wouldn't believe. But I just look at him and think, mate, you've done something that kind of changed the world. It's a cultural amazing thing.
He's responsible for a hell of a lot of divorces. He is. And neglected children as well.
It's true. It's that thing of like sitting there with your whatever thing you were playing it on, going, right, one more game. See how we get on next weekend because it's the cup game. Oh, but if we win the next one, we'll go into playoff position. And we've all been there.
I can't exit a game when I lost. We'll start on the
win. Exactly. If I go to bed on a win, then you have a really good win. I say, oh, well, while I'm on a roll, let's just play the rush. And then you lose and think, well, I'll just go out on the win.
Fabio Silva started to click. I've got to play another game.
He's invented something more addictive than crack.
I tell you, I think if you look at life, like I'm dead proud that I've worked with Mike Skinner and loads of other people. And I look at like Mike and I think, fucking hell, man, you've done something that changed British music. You did, that was a big rap album, and now British music is British rap.
Yeah.
If you look at it, like the biggest stars in British music are now all British rappers.
Yeah.
And at the time when original Pirate Material came out, the British rappers were like Skinny Man. It was
laughed at, wasn't it? British rap, sort of
Totally.
in the late 90s, sort of when that album came out.
No, and so I look at people like him, and I look at people like, and I work with the Zootons too, who wrote that song Valerie, and I look at them sometimes to Dave, who mainly wrote the song, and I sort of say to him, Dave, mate, you've written a song that's part of life. Like, it's everywhere I walk, I hear that fucking song. And you did that on your guitar in Liverpool, and you've changed the world in a minor way.
Yeah.
And I think that's the dream, isn't it? And I think it brings us right back round to Ronaldo, is that there are certain people in the world, Ronaldo is definitely one of them, who understand that they have a place in folklore.
The echelons.
And they're not afraid of it. They run towards it. They say, what can I do? Where I haven't won? Italy. I'll go to Italy. What can I do? What would be an amazing story? Oh, maybe I'll go back to England and do it again. He understands that.
And that is what makes him the GOAT, in my opinion. I know probably 50% of the people will disagree with me, 50% of the people will agree with me, because that's just the way that certain debate works. But that is why he is the GOAT and will always, in my opinion, be above Messi.
But we've seen the two best players in the world. I think Maradona pushes him. But I think if you look at overall career achievements, these two are the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And that imagine that, like, because before that, we had some great players, Zidane, big Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, amazing in their time, but never as dominant as these two. Nobody's ever been as individually dominant in an 11-man game as these two players. I think that's what, at their time at Spain, those two players, we were lucky to be alive when they were at their peak. I think, although I do think Haaland and Mbappe,
definitely,
are the two future players, and whoever gets either of those players, I love Mbappe. I think he's amazing. Although, again, slightly biased, but I think that we've actually got the closest thing to him outside of that in Mason Greenwood. I think that in 2 years' time, look at his feet, look at his pace, look at his finishing. He had a terrible season last season because he messed up on that England thing. He had some injuries. He had some attitude issues. But a fully focused Mason Greenwood, I think, keeps anyone out of our team. Honestly, I think he's the player that is the future of Manchester United for me.
Yeah.
We discussed that earlier, didn't we, Luke? He's got to be pushing for the World Cup squad at the end of the season.
Definitely.
Mason Greenwood, obviously, there's some class players in front of him. You've already mentioned Sterling, Phil Foden, Stockport, Iniesta. You still got Harry Kane up front, Jack Grealish. The list goes on. But I think come the end of the season, Mason Greenwood will be there or thereabouts.
I think he takes over from Kane long run. I think he'll be England's number 9.
Do you see Greenwood as sort of playing down the middle?
100%.
Moving forward.
100%. He's a number 9. He's a number 9.
This is what I mentioned on our podcast earlier on in the week, Luke. I think one of the things that we're struggling with our formation at the moment is when we get our fullbacks into good positions, we're reliant on him and has been on every single cross, because Trinko and Adama, they're not like a Rashford or a Greenwood who can play down the middle and instinctively know where to be for tap-ins.
Yeah.
Spot. And I think that's what we're missing in the front three. Last few comments in the sections. Stu, who's on before you, Tim, says, I watch Rennes because I'm that sad.
That is actually true, though. That is actually true.
Wish I had the time.
Jordan P. Never got into Football Manager. Feels too much like work and you don't get paid for it.
Nah.
We mentioned it earlier. When you look at Football Manager from a coding point of view, it's so simple, but the most complicated thing to implement. The credit's all there, isn't it? King Sacrificer. I'm a brand new Wolves fan and keep on a couple of podcasts, including yours. Thanks for that, King Sacrificer. Appreciate all the support. Thanks for coming on today, Tim, and obviously you, Luke. I'm going to go and order myself a takeaway from Wolverhampton Eats. And thanks again to everyone who's participated this evening and continues to listen and support the Wolves Fancast on the 90-Minute Network. Have a good weekend, gents.
You too. Luke, I was serious about that thing. Get my details off of Dan.
Honestly, mate, that is one of the nicest gestures I think that's ever happened on a football podcast. That's amazing, mate. Honestly, thank you so much. I would honestly really, really appreciate that.
Get my details, my email, and then as the season goes on and we see where he's likely to play.
Yeah.
Even if it's a Saturday for a Premier League game, you'll have to miss a Wolves game and take him to watch United one weekend. But it'll be, as long as we can make sure it's a game he's going to play in. My friends sent me videos from the seat from the Leeds game. It's mental. They were on Match of the Day and everything. You're on the halfway line, 2 rows behind the subs bench, and literally Ollie sits in the seat, 2 seats in front of mine. I can't wait to sit in it, but you'll definitely be there with your kid. I promise.
That's amazing, mate. Honest to God, that's really amazing. Thank you.
I mean, it's a pleasure. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Brilliant.
And I'm gonna be hitting you up after this, Tim, because I'm off to see Mike Skinner at the new Birmingham Carling Academy next Friday.
Oh, brilliant!
Enjoy your weekend, everyone.
You too. All right,
Tim,
guys.
pleasure.